If you've ever tried to turn a mower that just won't line up with the way you want to drive, you know the frustration of battling a machine that feels like it's pulling you in the wrong direction. You're looking for something that just works, that you can slip into your existing setup without a whole garage overhaul, and that doesn't bleed your budget dry. That's the sweet spot for a lot of lawn care pros and weekend warriors alike: reliable, easy to live with, and worth every dollar spent. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Exmark 135-1051 left-hand transaxle is that little piece of engineering that can turn a right-hand dominant mower into a left-hand friendly machine, or simply replace a worn-out unit. When you start thinking about it, the first question is always, do I really need this? The answer depends on how you use your mower. If you're the kind of person who spends most of your mowing time along the right side of the property, or you have a riding mower that you've modified with a left-hand steering column, a left-hand transaxle is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Conversely, if you only ever drive your mower straight down the middle of a square lawn, you probably won't notice a difference, and the purchase could feel unnecessary. What makes the Exmark part stand out is that it's a genuine factory-issued component. The part number 135-1051 matches the Exmark Toro factory catalog, and it's listed as compatible with the ARX 541 CK 30,000 model line. That matters because you're not slipping a generic, off-brand gear into a precision-engineered drivetrain. The compatibility guarantees that the gear ratios, splines, and bolt patterns line up exactly as the original manufacturer intended. In practice, that means you won't waste time trying to coax a mismatched part into place, and you'll avoid the hidden cost of premature wear that often comes from a poor fit. Installation is where many buyers get nervous. In the real world, swapping a transaxle isn't a screwdriver and bolt job. You usually need a lift, a few basic hand tools, and a bit of patience. For people who have done a routine mower maintenance, changing an oil filter, tightening the drive belt, the process feels familiar. You lift the mower, disconnect the power source, remove the old transaxle, and slide the new left-hand unit into the same mounting points. The fact that the Exmark part retains the original mounting geometry saves you from having to fabricate new brackets or cut down a shaft. That's a practical strength that shows up every time you roll the mower back onto the lawn. Now, let's talk about who should actually press add to cart. If you own an Exmark mower that's listed under the ARX 541 series, and you've either already installed a left-hand steering column or you're planning to, this transaxle is the logical companion. It's also a solid pick for small landscaping businesses that run multiple machines and need the flexibility to switch driving sides depending on terrain. A left-hand transaxle can reduce operator fatigue on tight, obstacle-laden jobs where you constantly have to pivot around trees, flower beds, or uneven ground. For those users, the added ergonomics translate directly into faster job completion and less strain on the back. On the flip side, if you're a casual homeowner who only uses your mower a few times a year, the investment might not be justified. The part costs more than a generic replacement, but the value comes from its factory-grade assurance. Skipping it makes sense if you never plan to modify the steering orientation or if your current right-hand transaxle is still functional. There's also a small but real risk. Installing a left-hand unit without also adjusting the steering linkage can leave you with a mower that feels off balance, especially if the steering column isn't truly left-hand compatible. That's why the Who Should Skip It group includes anyone without the proper steering setup or the willingness to do a full conversion. One practical weakness that surfaces after a few hours of use is the slight increase in noise level. Because the left-hand gear teeth engage from the opposite side, a faint whine can be heard at high speeds. It isn't a defect, just an acoustic characteristic of the gear orientation. Most owners say the noise is negligible, but if you're already sensitive to mower sound, it's something to note. Another point to keep in mind is the availability of service manuals. While Exmark's official documentation covers the right-hand side extensively, the left-hand counterpart is a thinner slice of the overall literature. If you run into an issue, you may need to rely on community forums or reach out to a dealer for specific guidance. That's a trade-off worth weighing before committing. In everyday mowing scenarios, the difference becomes evident quickly. Picture yourself on a steep, sloping hill that runs from left to right. With a right-hand transaxle, you'd be forced to steer across the slope, risking a slip or uneven cut. Swap to the left-hand unit, and your hand position aligns with the natural pull of the hill, giving you smoother control and a cleaner,